Talking to you today about an initiative that my school became a part of involving a math plan. The math plan was the result of our data producing low scores when it came to math. We have a new principal this year, and her mission was to change math. So the initiative was a brand new math plan. Some parts of that plan were that grades 4, 5, and 6 would have math groupings. We have 2 mixed ability groups in those grade levels and 1 advanced class. So as a 4th grade teacher, I was in charge and am in charge of teaching the advanced class. There's an advanced class in 5th grade and an advanced class in 6th grade, with the hopes that our higher students being able to reach their areas of growth. Other things were that we hired a math specialist for grades 4 through 6, where she pulls out 3 to 4 students individually every single day for 30 minutes and works with them on their intended goals. We each have grade level action plans. We call them GLAPs. Every single grade level as a group has to have GLAPs. So each teacher basically has a workshop time that's for 30 minutes, and it's in math every single day. And using data from the NWEA scores that we produced, we were to pick objectives that our students scored the lowest in. So our first task was to group our students in quartiles. We have 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, and 75 to 100. So there's 4 groups. And then in each group, what we had to do is we had to find out what that specific group had a lower area in. So one group might be low in algebraic reasoning, another group might be lower in geometry concepts, things of that nature. So you find 2 objectives per group to work on between now and our December testing. And in those objectives, we also had to provide assessments for the objectives. And once the students took those assessments after we taught them, then we had to provide evidence of learning, which I'll show you in a little bit. That's kind of a shortened version of what the GLAPs are. Also, as a grade level, we had to come up with a year-long template that involved us taking concepts from Common Core and then relating them to a year-long plan. So it's basically taking a Common Core standard and sequence and vocabulary and all those things and typing them into a template that would focus on what units we would teach. It's something that's going to help us for next year, but they want us to start it this year so that we're prepared next year when it begins. As far as who was in charge of coming up with all these different ideas, our principal was the one who was in charge of deciding all of this. She made the decisions. Her thinking was adaptive. She saw that we had low scores, and she wanted us to increase those scores. There was no team or other members that were in charge of this concept. She'd made the decisions. She delegated those decisions to her direct reports, which would be our vice principals, and the vice principals relayed the message to the teachers. So there really wasn't a group collaboration or a group decision on this. Systemic and creative thinking technically weren't present in this, as it wasn't a community effort. You know, she didn't come to us and say, we're low on math. What ideas do you guys have? Here's our problem. How can we problem solve together? None of that was really part of this. It was, here's a problem, here's a plan I chose to fix it, and this is what you're going to do. So with that, a lot of teachers kind of felt a little resistant. They felt like they were being micromanaged. They felt like there was a lot being thrown at them, and a lot of them became overwhelmed and are still overwhelmed. They've tried to make improvements for us. So when I say they, I mean administration. If teachers have concerns, they go to their deans or vice principals, and the vice principals go to our principal. But she has indicated that she's not budging with this plan because she wants her scores to be better. So just some ways that they kind of try to help us feel supported is that our workshops can rerun how we see fit. So if we want to group our students differently, we do have that option, but we still have to provide the assessments, the objectives, and the evidence of learning. Also, we have half-day plannings every trimester, and so that big unit plan we have to create, we can devote our half-day planning to that. So we're not doing that in addition to our planning during the week, so that has been helpful. But other than that, there hasn't been a lot of conversation back and forth. And besides that, I have some artifacts to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Right here is called an evidence of learning. It's kind of my binder that I made. It's kind of hard to see on this. But as you can kind of see, I have a chart where it says what assessment. So, sorry, right here it's assessment, order of operations. And then there's 93% of my students who passed. And then that means they mastered it. They have to get an 80% or higher to pass it. So in this instance, with this assessment right here, I'm translating words with math, my students, 63% of them passed. I needed to reteach it. So then they took the test again a week later after reteaching it. 100% of them passed it, they mastered it, and that's what told me that I could move on. So we have to have this binder with us at all times. Some teachers have a folder, some have a binder. I'm kind of type A, so I need to have a binder with mine. Another example is you can print off of Gradebook their assessments. And so every time there's a new assessment, I make a new print of this, I circle it over here, and then I turn this into my vice principal when that happens. That way they know that we're having new assessments and that the students are learning. One more artifact to give you an idea of Common Core. We're each given flip books. So this is a Common Core flip book that has, sorry, it's sticking a little bit. Looks like this. It's the Common Core Clarifying Expectations for Teachers and Students, Math Grade 4. So we take this and we look at the different units. So this is in numbers and operations for fractions. And there's one section where we type in the cluster. The next section we type in the standard. I mean, it's literally all right here. We're copying this and pasting it into a template. So that's just another example of stuff that she has us doing. So it was a big initiative. It was a big change. Some teachers are going along with it. Others are still doing it, but they're resistant and that there's a lot of complaints. And I think the biggest part of that is that it was not a collaborative effort. It was a top-down decision. Not a lot of people got to give their feedback on it. So that's kind of where we're at with that. So big change, but I mean, it's going better. Each day gets better. We kind of get a grasp of how to do it. And hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be more prepared for next year and hopefully our students show growth. So thank you for your time. Have a great day.